My property was, when I first got here, we didn't have the boat dock, but we put it in and I noticed that the shoreline seemed to be receding. So I put in a stake to see how much. It was like 2 to 4 inches a year that it was receding, and decided I needed to do something.
It seemed like every time I looked out after a northeaster or some type of big storm, it was just eroding the shoreline a little bit more every time.
So when we bought the property in 2019, we noticed that the clumps of marsh grass were beginning to erode away. You could see the sand pulling away, and there were chunks of the marsh grass actually breaking off and drifting away. So the erosion was concerning us, and we happened across a Facebook post from James River Association shortly after we moved in, and that is what started the process.
A living shoreline is a nature-based solution to erosion. There's lots of co-benefits. They also reduce pollution in the form of excess nutrients and sediment from the water. And then they provide habitat for native wildlife.
Think of it as the counterpoint to traditional bulkhead or revetment that really essentially is a wall blocking the water from the shoreline. That wall prevents plants, grasses, native wildlife to get in there and to utilize the habitat. On the contrary, living shorelines can protect the shoreline while creating space for nature, and they can also migrate inland as we see sea level rise as a result of climate change.
Living shorelines provide habitat for different types of animals such as oysters, snails, and then other sorts of mammals too. Sometimes we'll use the shoreline as well as birds. In addition to that, living shorelines are able to absorb nutrients like phosphorus and nitrogen that are pollutants to our waterways.
The James River Association has a Living Shorelines cost share program for homeowners. This program provides free site visits to investigate erosional problems. We also provide free designs and cover permitting costs on behalf of homeowners. This cost share program also funds 75% of implementation and construction costs for living shorelines.
I really enjoyed working with the James River Association. One of the reasons I did nothing at first was because of the permitting process. The permitting process seemed to be involved. You had to have a plan, you had to submit it, and even then, after paying all the money for the plan and submitting it, it wasn't guaranteed you'd actually get a permit. The James River Association simply took all that over, and they did all the permitting, did all the plans, and they were very receptive to things I suggested. I can't say enough about them. They're very nice.
I didn't know that much about it, but the more I got to know it, I figured that this is something that really would behoove me and behoove other generations.
Oh, JRA was terrific to work with. They handled all the permitting, they brought the engineers out, they handled all the design work and got bids from different contractors and just made it so easy. We just had to sign a few papers and, help coordinate some of the visits.
The one thing that really changed with the shoreline is oysters. I now have oysters growing on the oyster bags that they put in. I enjoy just going down and watching them. You don't think they move, but they squirt water. I just got oysters I've never had before.
I had never even thought about having seahorses and what kind of conditions you had to have a seahorse. And when I went down there and they were showing me the seahorses and stuff, I was like, cool.
The changes we've seen in the shoreline are virtually no erosion any longer. The marsh grass that was previously there is much thicker and healthier. A lot more wildlife traffic, especially at low tide. You can see along the shoreline, all sorts of footprints and tracks and trails. It's great.
The best part of having a living shoreline is maintaining an area that other people can study. They can see how good it is, what difference it makes.
The best part about the living shoreline, aside from all the animals and the wildlife that we've seen come to our property, is probably the sense of satisfaction that we get from knowing that we're leaving the property in better shape than when we bought it.
The best part about having this is I no longer worry about it. It takes care of itself, and I just get to watch the grass.